Welcome to another edition of Legends TV. We're going to open the show with Projection Zero with Karsten Radke from Germany on guitar and Blaze Savillo, a local great horn player. Okay, take it away, fellas.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving
is the #1 fence provider on Long Island, with the most inventory in stock, including vinyl, chain link, and aluminum. Offers a custom powder-coated system that prevents rust throughout the life of the fence. We carry fence tools to the trade. We even stock wood, rail, and glass hardware as well. Shannon Gates has our very own patented locking system. The next time you need fencing of any sort, both commercial and private, give Shannon Gates a call at 631-392-4330. can also visit our website at shannonbeatsinc.com.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
Okay, we're back again. I'm John Winnell. I'm going to be sitting in with these guys, Projection Zero. And if you like what you hear, we're going to be doing the same thing next Friday at the Mousetrap Cafe, 203 Broadway in Amityville. Okay, take it, guys. This is called The Algerian Girl. The moral pestilence of the city, radiant eyes that offer trespass. Fragrant deserts are captured within the curve of your neck. To sit beneath the satyr's moon, silver light that holds the blade, while music plays and dogs drink puddles of misery and blood. Try to catch the wind or a cloud. Your soft voice commands how much is really different. Days from cities engulfed in sand, buried songs that are released many miles away inside of stone and glass, as we catch our breath and watch the sparrows beg for food. Endless spiral. Follow the length of the spiral, the magical swirl, evolution of the stars, patterns collected in color and form, the oozing platitudes of loneliness, impregnating the universe with sorrow. They call me a wanderer, silent watchman, seer of infinite and base wonders. The polluted membranes of street and sky, the filter through which water flows. The valley is deep, yet I continue to walk, climb. I read messages scrawled onto rocks. Who was there? Who slept with who? Whose number to call for pleasure? As I approach the silent libraries of the suffering, I'm nearing hope. The dreams of your soft breath as it tickles my ears, filling me with discourse. The plummet of a starry night where moon petals collapse and fireflies collide with the wind. Illusions of eternity. Mirror reflects and reflects and reflects. Causal links, confusion, distortion. The girl in the window, eager, gazes back, unsullied by time, as distant as multiple images in a mirror. What is the equation of loneliness? Days an endless river from which we all journey. Splintered ships launching for destinations, forever changed by the landscape. Trains ride into valleys. The peaks of mountains where eagles open their wings and brush thinning air. I've forgotten everything. All the places, rough roads where justice was captured with a pointed gun and arrows pierced the skin of warriors. While you slept and dreamed about possibilities. The breath of time. An orange glow reflects in glass. The horrors of yesterday pulled from the river. Stubby pieces of stone, bloody skin, the bitter tastes of loneliness, swirling gravity, lobster clawed. I watched tugs pull boats for hours this morning. Smoke and steam curling over white waves. Leagues of stories chained to the murky bottom. One day, all this water will disappear. And then we'll walk its encrusted paths, quietly weeping over things we've lost. I'm going to bring up now another poet, William S. Peters Sr. Sit in with the fellas. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm William S. Peters Sr., a.k.a. Just Bill. Nice to meet you, John. And I'm here at Madhouse TV with my wonderful host, Evan Ginsberg. The piece I'm going to read is, I want to write some poetry. Ready? I want to write some poetry. You know, that kind of poetry that makes people feel beautiful again, that makes them lose all their angst and self-incrimination, and makes them want to hug each other. I want to write some poetry that eliminates all fears we have about social integration, that poem which sets aside the perceptions of differences in our politics, gender, ethnicities, religions, and any other institution that causes us to become spiritual kaleidoscopic in our interactions amongst each other. I want to write that type of poem that immediately releases us from all preconceived notions of class and rank, that instantly evokes and immerses us in the chasm of unfathomable love. I want to write that poem that gives permission for us to cast aside the band-aids, the crutches, and the temporary fixes that allows us to comfort our brokenness, that we may begin the journey towards healing and being whole again. I want to write that poem that our leaders and the elitists feel compelled to read and begin to question their motives of greed, power, and indifference, and come to a conclusion of just how offensive they have acted towards their brothers and sisters, their fellow man. I want to write that poem that sings of harmony to all people and beings of the earth, and gives cause for eternal smiles to be permanently etched upon each of our hearts. I want to write that poem that puts an inextinguishable light on the senselessness of war, famine, strife, disease, deceit, and any other inharmonious traits we have created betwixt us. I want to write that poem that restores our souls to its rightful divinity and teaches us to walk unencumbered and erect in and with an unerring nobility. I want to write that poem that awakens us, so we come to succinctly understand without question what the term humanity really means. I want to write that poem. I want to write that poem of congruity that all hearts can sing and dance to, with never-ending smiles and unmitigated joy frozen upon our countenance. I want to write that poem. I want to write that poem that makes us all glow, that dispels all darkness, and casts all of our misgivings into the abyss of forgiveness and forgetfulness. Someday I will write that poem, because I believe that I am going to write that poem. By the way, can you write one too? They say if you cannot be the poet, be the poem. Right on. Thank you guys. Next, I want to introduce my mentor, a very close friend of mine, Carlos Leverzera, aka Written in Pain.
Thank you. This is a poem that I never titled. It's just kind of a mantra for people, kind of like a mantra for people who have a hard time believing in themselves. So, what's in a word? Consciousness often consciously confines itself into words, blurred into fiction. The diction gets lost, some of it caused by superstition. Often we don't find the belief. It's brief, the thought of manifestation, that sensation, that alignment that defines us with. We were born free, already given everything that we need. We're alive to survive. Sometimes we just gotta go with the flow. You could fly, but if you never jump, then you never know. Sometimes we plant seeds, forgetting how deep the roots go. Sometimes trees flow, forgetting how sweet the fruit grow. I just need you to believe in your dreams. I just need you to live to the extremes. I just need you to have faith bursting at the seams. And although it seems that distractions cause reactions, and those distractions get you off track, life is so much bigger than that. It's grafted by magic. I mean, and what's in a word? Creation knows and flows like the bird. So all I ask you is to stay constant in that vibration, that sensation, that manifestation of creation. All I ask is that you breathe, achieve everything that you conceive. For your worth on this earth is more than just work, more than the strive of 9 to 5. You were born to be alive. I hope my words can be crafted and it's more than just images placed across screens. Life is more than it seems. Visualization bursting from the seams. And so it seems we don't all reach our destination, but remember the vibration, that manifestation of creation. Follow the flow, because if you never jump, you'll never know. Go with me. This is where life breeds the seeds that create poetry. That was written in pain.
Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Horsehair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com. Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Horsehair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this, you'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue Tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
All right, Evan Ginsberg back with Legends TV. What an honor to have this distinguished panel, poets, jazz musicians, a beautiful combination. Poet John Winnell, my co-host.
Hello there out there, folks.
Blaze Sevilla, out of Brooklyn, straight out of Brooklyn, like yours truly.
Well, it's not straight, but
okay.
It was like a long journey.
That's right.
It started in Detroit.
Okay.
That's a long journey.
And all people from Detroit end up in Brooklyn.
That's right. I've heard that before. All the way from Germany, Carsten Radke.
Hey there.
All right, making his return to the show.
Yeah.
And we have poet Carlos Lavazari,
How you doing?
a.k.a. Written in Pain.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, and my buddy William S. Peters Sr.,
Yes.
Pulitzer-nominated poet.
Yes.
Very impressive. Tell us about that real quick.
Actually, I've been writing for close to 50 years. And, at this stage of the game, I guess I'm starting to get a little bit of, recognition that goes in the books, so to speak. I don't know. But one of the professors from Penn State nominated me because she was involved in my poetry. And, so we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an honor to be nominated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, just to have your work acknowledged in any way, shape, or form, but especially this,
Yeah.
very impressive. Very
Thank
impressive.
you. Thank you.
So my question would be, how much of poetry is promotion? I mean, there's some great poets. It's almost like a tree falling in the forest and nobody hearing it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, there's a couple of challenges these days to the written word, whether it's poetry or books or whatever. A large percentage, the majority of Americans and people do not read anymore. So that's one of the challenges.
yeah, like I grew up on newspapers. People don't
Yeah.
even read newspapers
No.
anymore.
Everything's internet, instant, and listening as opposed to reading. So that's one of the strikes against us. Plus, poetry has always been like down here by comparison to novels and fiction and biographies and things of that nature.
And is that part of the dumbing down of America? Because 100 years ago, poetry, I believe, was more
Well, I guess
recognized
in
with-
certain circles, we
Yeah.
still have our exclusive circles, where poetry's celebrated, but sometimes in the mainstream, it's not.
There
Like
were
even,
always salons and I guess universities, Poe read in small groups, Wordsworth, I mean, there's guys in England, of course. America, I think poetry probably took off in the 50s, again, maybe by accident with the beat guys, for better or worse.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's always had its run, coffee houses, associations with jazz, and then in other frameworks that's been, in classical veins too.
Why is there
Dickinson,
such a strong jazz and poetry connection, which we just saw? Why does it work so well together?
You want to answer that?
If anybody.
I think there's a melody to poetry. I think there's already an existing kind of cadence to poetry, and I think being that jazz is a music genre that it usually isn't associated with lyricism or usually singing. I think jazz and poetry kind of make this peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
And
It's sound.
Yeah.
It's sound, and
Yeah.
it's interesting you're saying melody. I think much more of rhythm too, because I come from contemporary new music, where you do all kinds of layers of different tempi, of rhythms and pulses, all crazy things. And when you write that down, it's really, really complex. We call it new complexity. It started in the 80s or whatever. But when you think about it, we walk. We have two legs. We walk left, right, left. It's a pulse. We speak. When I would put that rhythm that I speak on top of that pulse, it would give one of these complex structures that I was just talking about. So I feel that there is a strong.
Right.
And you were doing your poetry, and I felt there was a rhythm in it. I took the rhythm. You felt it,
Yes,
right?
I did.
You
I
just
did.
felt it. So
I did.
it was kind of rap thing,
And since you mentioned that, hip hop poetry, do you feel it's a form of poetry?
I definitely feel like hip hop's roots are in poetry. It's
Poetry
almost there's almost no difference besides the music. Yeah.
So would you consider Nas, let's say, a poet?
Nas, Tupac, there's a few others that I would definitely consider poets who kind of got rap deals.
Right. Okay.
But Carson, what you were saying, I mean, I've heard contemporary music put to a lot of different poems, contemporary poems, and Dickinson, Whitman, Poe has been, but so I think I agree with the rhythm of the rhythm and the sound of whatever of the words, sculpted to the backbone of the music, whatever it is, be it jazz, which came into forefront, I think, primarily in the 50s, and then up to.
But there's, I mean, poetry in the sense that one writes a poem, works on the poem, decides, I like this word, I don't like this word.
Right.
You work on it, it's like a painting, and you go, and then you say, and you get the feeling of it, and you keep going over it, and then there's the poetry where it's like a spontaneous poetry, and some of has happened a lot with hip hop, rap, with the slams and whatnot, and then spontaneous, and then you have jazz, which and music, which is spontaneous, but yet there is a structure, or you create a structure in the midst of it. And some people write a composition, they play the composition, they rewrite the composition, they work. Everybody in a group reworks the composition. And then you have just kind of free form stuff. So I think it's like an intermingling, and all words have a rhythm.
Right.
That's what it's all about. I mean, poetry has always been about the rhythm.
Always.
And I'd just like to say for the viewers who tuned in, these gentlemen have never met. What you just created was total improv. In fact, they took an epic voyage on buses, trains, planes to get here. So actually, they walked in late, never even, boom. That just happened on stage right in front of you, which is an amazing thing to witness. Amazing thing to witness.
If I may say this, I know that with poetry and music, there's a foundation, that we all abide by to some relative degree. But when you think of like certain jazz musicians like Charlie Parker or whoever, they're not boxed. They're not put on the supermarket shelf. And a lot of poets, even though there's sonnets and all kinds of structured poetry, myself, I'm more freestyle writing. That I create my structure as I go along, but still the basics of language is still there, sometimes even punctuation. So, and I think that's why jazz and poetry, why we can relate, because we're fighting to get out of the box sometimes, while realizing that we're tied to it,
But when you also think about songs, a simple song, I have a 5-year-old daughter. We sing all the time. And you learn these songs much easier if you have lyrics. There's always like the connection, and it's like two levels to learn on.
No, somebody actually wrote "Happy Birthday," and they did it with the idea of doing it for a 2 or 3-year-old. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. It's not exactly complex, but it works. It works. So, guys, my big question is poetry, jazz. Why is it such a tough sell for the American public, for people in general? I mean, beautiful work, as we just heard, and it's a tough sell commercially. So many poets and musicians are educators, paying the bills as professors, teachers.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Anybody?
I don't know that jazz and poetry have the equal struggle in that manner. I think people still have a presumption that poetry is free. I think people still feel like poetry should be free, and if they walk into a cafe or a speakeasy, they're expected to hear 10 to 12 poets at no charge. And a lot of times, and I don't know if that's the same for musicians, but a lot of times poets have to pay to perform.
Musicians too.
So, and I had said this before, stand-up comedians have a harder time getting booked than clowns. And I make that same comparison with poets because I feel like poetry has the same star power as jazz, as comedy, in terms of if you get a decent group of poets at any venue, you can pack the house. You could sell out the bar or whatever the case is, but poetry still doesn't get that kind of respect because, one, I feel like the artists are still willing to perform for free, and the audience still have that expectation that poetry is free.
I know in the old days in the city or whatever it was, they used to pass around a basket for the poets, or if you were lucky, after, they'd take a fee at the door. If you had your feature, you'd get a cut of whatever. So sometimes that happens. But I guess maybe there is the assumption, unfortunately, people could just walk in. But it is. I mean, it is a performance. So why shouldn't
But there is this academic side to poetry that people write books.
Right.
They get books on publishing sites. They sell books.
Right.
I mean, it's like that's, and then they promote their poetry. So sometimes people get confused when they think, oh, it's a promotion, so why should they get anything for it? But the reality is, how many people buy the poetry book? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So like, this is like CDs. I mean, you know,
I'm a publisher.
Similar.
Yeah.
I'm a publisher, and people do not buy poetry books. You know, especially online, because everything's like online. In my experiences in the years I've been publishing, the people that sell books are the people that buy them wholesale themselves, and you know, give me $5.
Yeah, right.
But you know, going forward, when we think about poetry, you know, and its embrace by the economic world, so to speak. You know, we go to Amazon, for example, and all the other genres of writing, you know, have a laundry list of things. Poetry has that. So it doesn't get respect. If you tell somebody I write poetry, the first thing they said, I used to write poetry when I was in 6th grade.
Well, I mean, if you go to a bookstore, I mean, it's like they have all these books, and then where's the poetry? Oh, it's back in the corner.
Because of the illusion that small doesn't have power. I mean, Emily Dickinson, she wrote a few lines, and I tell you, that's like getting a shot to the solar plexus if you read that stuff. It doesn't have to be thick to be powerful. I mean, you know, so people think, oh, they remember in 5th grade where they wrote, you know, an ode to the pea or whatever it is that they wrote, or the carrot, you know, but it's not, you know.
I like it.
Valentine's Day poems.
Right.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
What is the role of educators and English teachers to teach more poetry and make people more aware?
Personally, I don't think the institutions themselves, you know, are focused on curriculum that addresses or serves the poetry scene, so to speak. I think poetry tends to be more of a personal pickup thing, you know, as an individual. I don't know if you can get a degree in poetry, or where you can go out in corporate America and get a job writing poetry. That really does not exist per se. You know, I mean, there's a whole big push on, you know, marketing your work and try to sustain yourself. And basically, from what I understand, just like it was back in the days with the jazz musicians, we're poor. You know, if we cannot support ourselves on poetry, not unless you're doing something adjunct to poetry like publishing, and still I can't support myself. So, yeah, I don't know, performance.
Yeah, you can't support
get a couple
yourself on that either.
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of poets are English teachers, a lot of jazz musicians are music teachers, professors. You know, there's no shame in it. It's as long as you're pursuing your art and.
Well, it also makes sure that you don't have to fool around on stage, because when you really have to make money on stage, you sometimes compromise a lot. And I prefer not to do that. Instead of making like a foolish thing on stage, I would rather do something else to make sure I can really do what I want on stage.
Okay.
You don't want to play Celebration at wedding bands? No, I'm joking.
If you asked me, I would do it, though. You know? But not necessarily.
Actually, I saw Kool and the Gang last night, and I enjoyed them.
Still around, huh?
Kool and the Gang, Bootsy, Morris Day in the Time. Good show. Good show.
That sounds like it was a good show.
Fun show. So, guys, I want everybody to plug whatever they want to plug, because we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and talk some more. John, plug your book.
Yeah, the book, I read one from the Poems for Everyday People. You can, as William said, you can get it from me. I'm also doing the self thing, John Winnell at Yahoo or Facebook, or I've actually had McNally Jackson, which is a bookstore in Manhattan. You can go on their website and order it if you like, JONWINELL, and hopefully there'll be another volume coming out. So yeah, that's it. And also playing with these guys next Friday at the Mousetrap.
And that's the 19th of August.
That should be fun.
8 p.m.
Looking forward to that. Some really being out there in space and time.
And that's 203 Broadway in Amityville, and they have music virtually every night, so a beautiful venue. Blaze, plug whatever you want to plug.
A couple years ago, I actually decided to start a label called No Frills Music. madhousetv.com.
And you had one of your CDs with you before. You
and
want to
I've
show it?
Been releasing. We have a trio CD on that,
Yeah, that's new.
and I have 5, 8 other configurations of people that I've made recordings, had the artwork done, did the artwork, did the pressing, presented and distributed, and so that's still growing. And I occasionally I get big orders, and then the rest of the time I'm like, oh.
Occasionally, right.
It's all variations on a theme, right? Well,
it was kind of like one day somebody wrote me from Poland, and they wanted 20 copies of everything.
All of a sudden.
And then I have to go, do I have 20 copies of everything? I'm looking around dragging, where are all those copies,
That's great.
But, but then there's other times, but it's all about making music and doing things. But I think, one time I decided that it's really maybe better to just get things out and present to people and have it out there, and not always be, oh, will you put my stuff out? What do I got to do to get this out? And oh, I don't like that part. So it's like I don't want to deal sometimes with that concept of how am I going to make somebody happy to get something out. It should really just be, I like this music, I want it out, and it gets out and it gets played and it gets reviewed, and so that makes me feel good.
There you go. Costin?
Yeah, well, I'm very happy to be back here, and I'm looking very much forward to playing with you guys next Friday and next week. We have a show tomorrow in Downtown Music Gallery in New York City. And on Tuesday, is it Tuesday? We're in Wednesday?
I think 16th.
16th, that's right. And we're in Williamsburg. You know more about that, so I'm just looking forward to do all these things and incorporate all the things that I do.
And any websites or
where
they can find all the information?
You have my name, Carsten, Karsten Radtke, Radtke. You'll find me online. You can find me online.
Find all the information for all the gigs.
Yes.
Okay. Written in Pain.
Anywhere on social media where there's writing or poetry, you can find me Written in Pain. I'm on YouTube. I have YouTube videos, Written in Pain. I have a website, writteninpain.weebly.com, where you can download some of my poetry. And I have a book on Amazon called Conversations with Myself. It's a book of poetry. At the end of this year, I intend on releasing my first novel. It's called Concrete Butterflies. I'm really excited about releasing that. And that's about it. But if you want to find my work, I'm Written in Pain everywhere. And I'm the only one. So it's me. If you find it, that's one word. It's me. Yes, all one word, no hyphens.
And William S. Peters, tell us about this book.
That book, in order to be a candidate for the Pulitzer, you had to have a published book in this calendar year. So I put that one together, and that's that. I also represent Inner Child and Inner Child Press. My website is iamjustbill.com. And we have a few initiatives through the publishing company, such as World Healing, World Peace, which I'm rocking the t-shirt today.
Yeah.
Also, we have an open call for an anthology called I Want My Poetry To, which is open to any poet that wants to submit. It's an anthology, which we will make available as a free download. And we have a lot of free downloads at our website. But the concept of this is to try to find what our vision and purpose is as poets. When we say, and it has to start with it, I want my poetry to, and then Dylan, So we have a lot of things going on. We're publishing books. Last year when I was out in Kosovo at the International Poetry Festival, I met some really wonderful people from the Middle East who I'm now publishing. And so it's just, I think that's one thing that music and art and poetry does. It kind of eliminates the boundaries.
Right.
Blows the sides of the boxes off and allows us to stretch out and embrace, just like we met you guys today. I met John before, but we met you guys today, and it's beautiful.
We should take this show on the road to Germany, right, Costa?
Oh, well, yeah, come on.
I'm down.
There you go.
Expenses, yeah.
Costa. Yeah.
Get me some gigs here.
Yeah.
And we're broke.
Speaking of jazz, I'd like to mention Keeping the Idiom alive. Facebook page, Rashid Booker. tremendous jazz page, Keeping the Idiom Alive, and that's on Facebook. And a couple other quick plugs. Tonight, Larry Graham at B.B. King's, the great Larry Graham. Best show I saw all last year. Looking forward to that once again. As we mentioned, Projection Zero with John Winnell this Friday night, August 19. You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss this. And it's an old wrestling line I stole from Ernie Ladd. August 26, Sugar Blue at Lucille's, part of B.B. King's, the great Sugar Blue blues hop. Great. August 27, Edwin Vasquez at the Mousetrap Cafe, one of our favorite artists. Edwin played with Mark Anthony and Paul Simon, tremendous artist at the Mousetrap Cafe, August 27. Clarence Carter, the great Clarence Carter at B.B. King, September 3rd. And our buddy Felix Cabrera, September 7 at Lucille's. So a lot of great events coming up, and you can listen to me on Main Event Madness Radio every Thursday 8 to 10 at wrestling-news.net, a pro wrestling program, so you'll enjoy that too. And Ring of Honor is at Cyclone Stadium August 27 as well. So when we come back, we're going to talk more jazz, more poetry, and whatever hits us, as this is all improv, as you may have guessed. So more of the eclectic mix known as Legends TV after this very brief commercial timeout.
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks. Anything. So, here, laugh a little harder. All right?
I will take him. I would be proud to show you off, you little old weirdo man.
Get a new sweater. The worst dressed man here tonight. Right? Look, get that laugh, and get it in there tonight because nobody else is gonna laugh like her. She's under drugs, all right?
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
We are back with Legends TV, and I just found out a very important piece of information. Written in Pain as a fellow pro wrestling fan, and anything that is done right is an art. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I got by through high school doing wrestler impersonations.
Do Roddy Piper.
That's right. I can't do Roddy Piper.
Yeah, okay. Who can you do? Randy Savage. Everybody can do Randy Savage.
Everybody can do Randy Savage.
Do Randy Savage.
Black Monday in the Meadowlands Arena. Yeah, it's gonna look Hulk Hogan. I'm gonna get you in the ring and drop the elbow off the top rope. Maybe finish you with the 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Need a little excitement. Snap it to a Slim Jim. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. And my personal, you're gonna appreciate this. My personal friend Lanny Poffo, the genius, who's also a poet. I'm gonna send him this video. He'll appreciate it. Randy Savage is his brother, so he'll appreciate that. Okay, so I have a big question for you and for the panel. I'm a big Marvin Gaye fan. I'm a big R&B fan. And Marvin Gaye said when he was in love, he could write particularly well, but also What's Going On. The Hear My Dear album, the Divorce Settlement album, was written out of pain, severe pain. So is it easier to write, this is for everybody, is it easier to write from pain, or is it easier to write from happiness, whether it's music or poetry?
You're actually written in pain, right?
Well, I figured you'd be the natural one to ask first.
For me, my writing process is strictly emotional. It's not very cerebral. If I'm feeling something, I write it in the moment, and usually those feelings of the highest vibration or that motivate me are those kind of feelings of deprivation or love loss or heartbreak or those kind of emotions that really they have a high content. So that's when I really feel like, and I've said this before, I really feel like the best writings, be it music or be it poetry, I feel like the best writings happen when the person is in a dark place.
Okay. And show us the tattoo which says written in pain.
It says I am written in pain.
What was that painful?
It was. Indeed it was.
All right. All right. And what about the rest of us? Do you write better when you're music or poetry? When you're happier or sadder or?
I can't write at all when I'm in a state like that.
When you're sad?
Yeah. Or
you write better from happiness?
No, it doesn't matter. I can't write then, but I can play. I play. It doesn't matter when it's a very intense state of feelings or whatever emotionally. Then I can play, but I can't write. It takes a long time to settle and let the sand settle a little bit, and then I can start writing. But I can't do it in that very moment. But I can play, which is a different thing.
Okay. And the rest of us?
I think if you're talking about something that's really painful and you're feeling really bad. Sometimes you just have to let that pain work its way out.
This is what I
you know,
mean.
you don't, I mean, it's like, especially if you're playing an instrument, the last thing you want to do is you have to put it together.
Yeah.
You got to put it in your mouth. You got to move your fingers.
Yeah.
It's you, that pain in the future future time is instrumental in making something interesting happen, or it keeps you going. All these lifetime experiences are always being in this thing of you, and then that comes out that you can be angry, you can be sad, you can be happy, but those all are like these memories that you have that I felt that, I know this, I know that, you know, I experienced this type of thing, but in the moment it's really, I don't know, it's like, be happy, have a party.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. I feel the same.
John?
Yeah, I mean, for me, for me, the poems are a journey. So I can't just, I mean, if I write in the moment, again, you made an interesting analogy between painting. With me, it's a process, so a lot of reworking. So whatever I'm feeling, it's trying to get get at the source of it. So it's like chipping away. And in the course of that, whatever the feelings are, and they're very complex, happy, sad, miserable, ecstatic, it's all part of it. But it takes time. It doesn't just happen. It's a process. At least, sometimes the poems are like, wow, where did that come from? But it's very rare. For the most part, it's a sculpting process.
Yeah. Well, it's also, do you want to tell people how happy you are?
No.
Or do you want your happiness to come through what you're doing? You know, you don't want to say, "Oh, I'm glad."
Who's
I'm glad."
interested in it?
Actually, it was a good song, but
Bobby McFerrin, who's
so
a
glad.
brilliant musician, I think "Don't Worry, Be Happy" kind of hurt him because, right? I mean, there was like kind of a backlash. It was like too happy,
Right.
right?
Was it Skip James? I'm so glad. Was it Skip James?
I can't remember. But
Well, the Cream took
yeah,
it,
right, the Cream.
but I think
did
it originally was written by Skip James.
I'm glad. Yeah. I mean, so, but that's the thing about, are you talking about it or are you just being it? You know?
See, but even in that, it's not really talking about that.
Yeah,
It's
right.
more saying,
Sometimes it's so painful, like Marvin Gaye's "Hear My Dear," the divorce settlement album with Anna Gordy. When did you stop loving me? When did I stop loving you? It's heart-wrenching, heart-wrenching. William, better from pain or pleasure?
From all of them. You know, my poetry runs a whole gamut of emotions, and also consciousness. I have a belief that if I'm listening, to life, wherever I look, there's a poem waiting for me. And I tend to be more instant, whereas if something triggers, it's a trigger. Something triggers, that poem's done in 2 or 3 minutes. I might have to revise and edit and rephrase, but the actual body of the poem is done just like that. Because, and I think I attribute it for myself to being aware, I guess, and listening. I could write a poem right now about that glass.
being in the moment. I mean, I think we're all kind of saying that in our own ways. You have to be in the moment.
Yes.
You have to be alive. I mean, and I think that's where it comes to, maybe back to education, bringing it with kids. What can they relate to? You mentioned earlier you couldn't relate to Robert Frost, but maybe because it was too rustic. But there might be poems. Leroy Jones, Etheridge. I mean, there's a whole gamut of people
Years
that
ago.
wrote about different kinds of experiences that whoever out there is listening and say, wow, that is what opened my ears, Not just being, wow, the Shakespeare or John Donne, which, is hundreds of years old, which I can't relate to. And maybe in the course of time, you can.
Years ago, I taught English on a high school level, and I think part of the job of a teacher is almost to sell it. Listen, this is really worth experiencing, and give them something accessible, like a Langston Hughes, in modern English, that they could grasp. And you can work your way towards, the longer, more complex, but I think a Langston Hughes, a Robert Frost, even a Walt Whitman. I think it's accessible if you have a good enough teacher to.
Earlier Walt Whitman song from I Sing the Body Electric is very accessible. I mean, that's a very powerful and beautiful piece. And there are short pieces by all of it's not all John Donne, which even very educated people, it's beyond, it's very metaphysical. So it depends on where, what you bring to it and what you take out of it. Like music, everybody, Jingle Bells, Happy Birthday, but not everybody's going to listen or gravitate towards Luciano Berio or really abstract stuff. But that doesn't mean that it's not as magnificent as other things.
Well, let me broach that subject. My mother is a big jazz fan. She loves jazz. But at the same time, she never quite got the Art Ensemble of Chicago, Sun Ra, Cecil Taylor. She never quite got it. I do. I love free jazz, avant-garde, whatever you want to call it. Is there a way to get a jazz fan to open their mind, open their ears towards the more adventurous stuff?
Well, I think people should go listen live.
Yeah.
Live music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, I don't think that recordings really grasp the whole situation. It doesn't make sense. You need to see those people act and sweat and move.
I used to see Don Pullen play till his fingers bled.
Saying that, I know. You need to see that. You can see that on TV. It's not the same thing. You actually feel it. You can smell it. You can everything. The heat.
Well,
it's an experience.
But there is this there's always histories being rewritten every day, and the glories of the past weren't always that glorious.
Right.
The live shows suffered, and the attendance wasn't what we would think it should have been, and so. But the history is indeed, we have the glorified history, and it's a great history to have a glorified history, and we constantly glorify history because of things that we decide finally that, hey, that's actually quite good. It was a cool thing, but
those
at the
recordings
time,
of Bird or Monk with his three people in the audience clapping.
At the time, it was a struggle, and it's always been a struggle. I mean, Walt Whitman was a postal carrier. Everybody's had their struggle.
Right. I'm sorry.
But then, like one day it becomes, it's the thing, and then you go, oh, that guy, I remember. It was like, somebody said they saw Miles Davis in Philadelphia, and there were two people in the bar. I mean, but then other times there's like 500 people in the bar. It's just life.
I kind of think that I can definitely speak for poetry and other venues of art that I participate in, but I think for artists that there's a particular sensitivity and a particular vanity that accompanies our persona, and that whatever type of art, I kind of have this want or desire for the audience, whether they're readers or listeners, to get it. To get it. And I call that my vanity. Because if you ask people why do they write poetry or why do you do jazz, the ultimate thing is the love we have for that venue of expressing ourselves. Whether it's our pain or happiness or love or our anger or whatever the case may be. I think that the greatest motivation for us as human beings is we like congruity. We like to identify. I met you, now I can call you friend, type thing. We all want to belong to something. And I think that as an artist, that's the relationship that I seek with the audience, whether they're reading or listening, is that, did you understand what I'm saying? Because it was important to me to write it.
I have interesting reactions at some poetry readings. Sometimes I'll see one young person after another, angry. And I'll say, you're young, you're handsome, you're healthy, you're doing what you love in front of an audience. Maybe you shouldn't be that angry. What do you think of that reaction? Was that an older guy looking at a younger guy? I don't know.
I think they're angry at us.
Was.
I was that way when I was a kid. I was angry, you know, because life was just frustrating. You know, it just wasn't perfect, you know.
The highest rate of suicide in America is people in their 50s.
Really?
Because they suddenly realize, wow, you know, my marriage didn't work out, my kids hate me, I'm taking care of my elderly parents. Not me personally, but I'm just saying. No, there's a high rate of suicide for people in their 50s. If anybody should be angry, it's us.
Yeah.
But on a
But
happy,
Maybe
I
you should
think,
be.
I think you see the world from where you're at.
Yeah.
And if you're frustrated, which a lot of kids at 16, 17, they are frustrated because the world is very confusing. It's confusing to us, and we kind of understand, although I feel every day I understand even less. But I think what you said is very valid. They see it through their own eyes at that age. So if you're 16 and you're frustrated because you know that girl, you know, is not paying attention to you, or you're
girl
not
sleeping
getting
with the
what you-
football player instead of the poet.
No, but
Yeah.
there's a reason. I mean, that, you know, so it's not on the same level, but it's people doing what they're doing at the time that they're doing it, right?
But I kind of think also too, if we consider where we are, and I think we're all about the same, with the exception of you and Evan, you know, about the same.
Yeah.
But I think if we stop and consider, you know, the enormous amount of information that these children today have to process. I had we were talking about this earlier. I had channel 3, 6, 10, and 12 coming up. I mean, you have a myriad of opportunities,
the internet,
especially with the internet, the phones. You get on the subway, everybody's on the phone, you know, processing information.
Right.
Being teased on Facebook.
Are we built that
or-
way? Are we really wired that way? You know, to
they're
process
looking at
information and
cats
store it
and
in its proper places without having some type of adverse reaction to it.
No, it's hard. It's a
The
hard
other,
thing. You know.
the other thing is the youth, especially that age, the teenagers, the adolescents. You know, we hope that within those generations we're going to see change. Their purpose is to change the structure or make changes. So I think in some way it's their job to fault find and look at what's wrong with what's going on, because it's their responsibility in 10 or 20 years. They're going to be the advocates to change what's wrong with.
I mean, that's very valid. No, certainly in college, and you know, if you look, you know, that's where a lot of that happens. That's where there's a lot of involvement. You would hope on college because they want to go forward. So there's a lot of truth in that too. Yeah. I agree.
But it's also like it's part of the human nature that we're born angry.
Yeah,
it's like we come from this very warm, comfortable.
And if Keith Richards outlives me, I'm going to die angry. On that happy note, folks, we must wrap things up. Michael Packer, the great blues artist, Blues for Peace, tonight at the Mousetrap Cafe, 203 Broadway. Great live blues, and he'll be right here on Legends TV next week. And my book, Apartment 4B, like in Brooklyn. Speaking of anger, growing up in the tough streets of East Flatbush, Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s, a 50 or so story compilation. All true, the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing up in the turbulent East Flatbush, Brooklyn of the 60s and 70s. I must bid adieu to this eclectic, highly talented panel. Thank you guys. It's been great. And check us out Friday night at the Mousetrap Cafe, Projection Zero with John Winnell. Great live jazz meets poetry. Like the beats in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Going back. What's old is new, folks. Come on out to the Mousetrap this Friday and every night. Great live music at the Mousetrap Cafe. Thank you all. Thank you all. Great show. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week with more of the eclectic mix known as Legends TV.